felt markers, really, and well, and it works out very well for me. I do a full-color series every month in Cavalier magazine, which it goes out to soldiers and the raincoat crowd. That's a skin magazine. As I said, originally I went down into the underground, and I worked with Robert Crumb and people like that, and we started the Gothic Blimp, which was the first underground tabloid paper, comic tabloid, because at the time I really felt that that's really where it was happening, as far as I was concerned. People like Stan Lee offered me series to do, comic series, and I've always had to turn them down because I really dig my own. I insist on having, first of all my own rights. I'm the only one who's ever been able to protect my rights was myself. Most artists, especially when I first met them, were selling all their rights in New York, all over the place, and to publishers who are very greedy monsters, and they take away everything if they could. But now things are changing in the last few years. And like we're working for the National Lampoon, I have all my own rights. Doing Cheech Wizard, originally it was being considered for Penthouse. Playboy was considering some other series for We. And I finally wound up not being able to work for Playboy because of the fact that they take my rights from me. The characters happen to belong to me, and what I want to develop them into is mine and my ideas. And so living in Woodstock, Jeff Jones and I shared a studio in Woodstock last year, and I got into these higher and higher states of consciousness and wanting to do more and more for wanting to be more and more an artist and more a part of the things that I was creating. And I came up with the idea of this, which is an extension of my art, which is the show that I do. I'm working on a new magazine, or helping to at least organize what will possibly be the first large-scale cult magazine, which will be distributed throughout the United States and here too, I suppose. And I'd like to try and use Cheech Wizard as the mascot for this occult magazine, which would be rather orientated to a mass audience. And Cheech Wizard is becoming so popular, this hat character, that there are fan clubs that are devoting themselves religiously to him. And I started doing the radio show. Again, another extension of just wanting to be as full a cartoonist and as complete an artist as I can possibly be. I treat myself as much like an art project as I do any of my major projects. I am one of my major projects. I didn't look like this a few years ago, and you know, I mean, like when, for instance, when Kennedy was running for president, people thought that people would mistake me for one of the Kennedys at times. You know, congratulations, Mr. Kennedy. Some drunk on the street congratulated me. So that's how I looked back then. But I've changed a lot. And more as I change, there's always the idea of becoming more and more involved and total with the artwork that I do. And that is, and Dave Breger, back in 1960, thought there was no hope for me. That I was a talented young boy, but I insisted on doing like a hat with no features, and doing live, real people with strange cartoons. Referred to myself as a graphic animator because, naturally, I had always really dug the Walt Disney stuff. I even went out and I was working in California for a while, and I never did really make it. I couldn't get in with the studios out there. And now there's no hope at all of my getting in with Walt Disney. I kept trying and trying and trying, and I often think to myself, maybe I better do this. I think to myself, you know, what can make a successful cartoonist. I know so many people who just they just disappear rather altogether. And, you know, I never know what happens to some of the people that I went to college with, and other people who had just as many dreams and just as much talent, I felt, as certainly I had. And some people I meet are tremendous craftsmen. They can draw circles around me. And yet what's the difference, and what's the number that makes a young artist eventually going to be successful? And an awful lot of it is your own projection of your own ideas. The one thing I constantly do this at every college that I go to, or anybody who comes up to me and asks me for hints as to how to do better, and how to do his work better. The only way I really push these people, I push these people to always do their own ideas. I have a lot of people who copy my ideas, but there's more people who copy the style and the approach of other people. And if you want to work for Marvel or DC, that's all right. Let's see. I think I'll put a tie on it. But the only way is to do it yourself and do it your way. And I was told that I would never have a market. I was told that I'd never be able to make a living doing the kind of art my way. And the market's there, and the living's there. But I also wasn't just satisfied enough just to be a cartoonist who would just work in publishing, but I wanted to develop other forms of art, other platforms for expression. And as it has worked out with my shows, it's really come across really nice. As a matter of fact, I often suspect that I might get more into performing than anything else. I'll be producing shows specifically for colleges that have not even been published. Right now, the work that I do in my shows has originally appeared in Cavalier and the National Lampoon. I do a whole bunch of Cheech Wizard stuff. If you're familiar with what I'm doing and I do it on stage. Some people, they find it like difficult to digest. But then I try and do a disclaimer before I start, and excuse the people out of there who don't that they don't have like a free humor and a free scope of humor. And I get a lot of people who are uptight, like some women's liberationists or something will sometimes approach me in a threatening manner after my show. I was here in Toronto, and I did the World Science Fiction Convention here last year, and they had representatives from Ms. Magazine who left shortly after my show began. But they came back afterwards so that they could rag on me. But he can censor me. Otherwise I won't work. I wouldn't care. I'd give up my artwork, or I'd give up all my paying jobs if I were censored. Because that's the one thing that stopped me. Stan Lee offered me a job, offered me a series, and I told him that I couldn't do it, mainly because he took my rights, because I didn't mind mellowing my work, but also because of the very, very heavy comics code.